So today I am joined with the lovely Filipa, and today we're going to be talking about her book, which is all to do with body burnout, which is a contributing factor when a relationship starts to break down, because a lot of people don't look after themselves, and then it hits a point where they're so exhausted and they're done that, that could affect a relationship and how they parent if they have kids. So Filipa is absolutely amazing. So Fili, do you just want to maybe let everybody, introduce yourself and let everybody know what you do?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Stacy. I'm excited to be here. So I'm Fili Bellete, or Filipa Bellete, and I'm co-founder of the award-winning holistic health practice, Fili Functional Medicine. So I run that with my husband, which is a test to our relationship. And we're best known for ending body burnout in busy people with energy, mood, and gut issues. So
that would be a large portion probably of a lot of people of the whole world.
Yes.
So completely relevant. I love the holistic approach to that as well. It's not the typical kind of go to a doctor and, get some pills or something to fix that. So absolutely love that side of it. Now, you do have a book called Ending Body Burnout, which has been out for a little while now. Do you have it there? Yay, there it is.
Yes, actually, I was just looking on Amazon because I'm like, I think it's almost a 1 year birthday, and it was published on 17th of November. So it's almost one.
That's gone quick.
I know, so quick.
Wow, there we go. It's nearly a first birthday for Ending Body Burnout. Yeah. So can you let us know what inspired you to write that book?
Yeah, cool. So I've been in practice. I'm a functional medicine practitioner, clinical nutritionist, later became transformational coach and trauma therapist as well. So Chris, my husband, and I have been in the health industry for a combined almost 30 years now.
Wow.
So before I became an accredited practitioner, in the past he had a fitness business, and I was kind of like the go-to nutrition girl just because of my own health issues that I was struggling with. And so I entered into what we now do in our business because I was essentially first and foremost trying to heal myself. I didn't actually have any grand vision that I was going to become a practitioner and like end body burnout, but it was just organically came along through my own health and healing journey. So the book essentially is a combination of my own personal experience plus all the years in clinical practice working with thousands of people and unlocking the deepest root cause of why someone ends up in body burnout in the first place.
Yeah, and you obviously, that's what you saw, right? So a lot of people that were coming to you saw that trend, that it was something that was just needed, and you knew that there were people out there that could benefit from your knowledge and from your experience and the stories that you have with your clients.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So who would be, that's not good English. Who is the book for? Did you have anybody in mind when you were writing the book, like males, females, mum, stay-at-home mum, was there anybody specifically in mind that you had when you wrote the book?
Yeah, so it was specifically written for busy women with energy, mood and gut issues, and kind of in the midlife period, 35 to maybe 60 years old. Again, the reason for that was because there's a lot of my journey and story inside of the book as well, and that's kind of like where I was.
Yeah.
But we do also work with men, and I've had many males purchase the book, or we've given it to male clients, and everyone can take something from it except for maybe you just want to skip the part about vaginal health.
I felt like it was menopause in there too. That might not.
Oh, yes, the female hormones.
Yeah, they might be able to support their partner, so it could still be relevant.
Yeah. And with the midlife as well for women is that we are entering the age of perimenopause as well, which can start as early as late 30s and it can last for 12 years. And so that's where, as hormones just naturally drop as they should, it can actually show up a bunch of imbalances in the body that might not have been noticeable before that. So women can get a lot more physical or mental health issues during the perimenopausal time. And it's not necessarily the sex hormones. It's just that as the hormones drop, it can exacerbate or show up other things. And also a lot of what we do and what I write about in the book is looking at underlying patterns of burnout as well. So this is for people who get stuck in burnout are often running type A, perfectionism, overdoing, overachieving, busy, go, do. Or there might be people pleasing, rescuing type patterns. And those patterns can serve a purpose for a while when you're younger and you can like go. But at some point, kind of like around the mid-30 mark, the body just says no. It's like, this is not how we were designed to perform in life. We need to rest and recover, and we need to have like life-giving energy, not force or fear-based energy. And so again, kind of like around this age is when the body really speaks and it's like, we're done. We can't do this way of living anymore.
Yeah, and it's really hard though, because you do have that expectation. I know, especially like me as a mum with two girls, the expectations is there that you have to do everything, and like it's a societal thing. And if you take that break, then you're selfish. Or if you have to go on a weekend retreat to try and heal yourself, or, to try and come out of that breakdown, you're selfish. Like it's really hard to get the courage, I suppose, could be the word, to address this sort of stuff. Like it's not embarrassing. It's very common. It's, you're not the only one that's done it. And it's sad that people just keep going, and yet their body says no, but they keep pushing. And then I used to be the same. So I used to keep pushing, and then I used to get sick, and I used to like fall on my butt. Like I would be out for like a week or two, and then I'm like, yep, okay, pushed it too far, but I kept on doing it.
The cycle.
And now I'm like, oh yeah, my body's saying ease up, Stacy. So I might push it a little bit more than what, but I'm like, yep, I need to stop. Otherwise, my body will tell me to stop.
Yeah.
You don't want to get to that stage. Now, there's 4 parts of the book. So you talk about the body systems, heal the mind, heal the body, and heal the environment, which I absolutely love. So can you give us a rundown as to each part? So the body systems, what component does that play in the book?
Yeah, cool. So in our practice, we work with people with health issues, energy, mood, gut issues. Often it can show up like in a burnout picture, can often show up also as inflammatory or autoimmune type conditions as well. Again, where the body's just like, all right, we've been trying to get this person's attention through small, subtle signs. Yeah. They're not listening. So like, bang, we have to give you some pretty intense symptoms where, like, as you said before, flat on the butt, or like in bed, or I can't exercise anymore, or my sleep is kind of rubbish. So I'll get into the body systems in a second, but I thought I'd just paint the picture around common symptoms that show up when someone is in what we coined body burnout. And that's a bit different than, say, the way that we talk about it in the workplace, just the standard burnout, where it's like, oh, I've been doing too much and now I've lost motivation, and like I'm not as sharp as what I used to be, and I'm quite tired and I've kind of hit a wall. It's like body burnout is the one step further past that, where now the issues have actually become chronic. Now when someone has a good night's sleep, or they go away for a holiday for 2 weeks, they come back and they still feel crap. It's kind of like those little lifestyle hacks aren't solving the issue anymore. And
you need a holiday from the holiday.
What was that? So I
need a holiday to recover from the holiday.
Especially if you take children with you, then it actually ends up not being much of a holiday. So symptoms that show up would be things like fatigue, brain fog, sleep issues, anxiety, depression, or something in between, mood imbalances, not responding to stresses like you used to. Gut issues are really common too, because body burnout is also a state of fight or flight. Your body gets stuck in a sympathetic fight-flight state, and when you're in that state, you can't rest or digest. So people do start showing up with often like bloating or heartburn or food sensitivities or chemical sensitivities, and constipation, diarrhea. And then you can have other systemic symptoms as well, like hormone imbalances, skin issues, autoimmune type conditions.
Yeah.
So,
and it's really hard. You think that's a normal part of growing up, though, like not like getting older. Like I know for me, it's like, oh, since I've had kids, I'm this. So yeah, since I now have my own business, it's this. It's some people I know I did is like, yeah, well, I'm just at that age where I have to complain about everything, but it's not. Like most of it's fixable.
It's not. I always have a little joke inside my head that I feel the best I have ever felt since I was a little kid, because I started having health issues as a teenager.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't subscribe to the narrative that we get worse as we get older.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point we're going to die and our body degenerates. But
we can look after it before we get
40s,
to that part.
50s. Nah, great.
Yeah, but like it is though, like, or even if you go to a doctor, it's like, oh yeah, it's just because you have kids. Yeah, it's just, and it's just what's in your head. I'm like, okay, well, I just have to put up with it because it is what it is. It's not until you kind of maybe research into other options. It's like, oh, okay, well, no, this isn't normal. I shouldn't be feeling this, or I shouldn't be, you know, having these symptoms, whether it's like rash. And then mine used to be a rash all of a sudden. It's like, where did that come from? And that was part of what you said. It was my body just going, you know, if you don't take this rash seriously and slow down, I'm going to go to that next level and kind of really knock you on your butt. So definitely agree with all those of what you just said. So the mind is obviously very important. Can you explain the heal the mind component in the book?
Yeah. Okay. The mind, I feel, is what we call the root cause of body burnout. So you can't have symptoms without there being some sort of body system imbalance, and that's the body systems. Well, what actually is causing the symptoms from a physical point of view? Is your gut out, your adrenals, sex hormones out, detox pathways not clearing toxins very well, and you can lab test and actually get data that goes beyond what GP tests look for. And then if I had a client in front of me and I have all their lab tests and it's like, okay, great, now we can actually start supporting these markers in your body that are out of whack. Now, if you stop there and just give the person some lovely natural supplements, then it ends up just being a Band-Aid approach. They either become dependent on it for the rest of their life in order to feel okay. But what I see most of the time is you can't outsup the deepest root cause. Yeah. And this is where really going into the mind as well. So while you're supporting the body from a physical point of view, entering into the mind is huge. So you would know this, Stacy. The mind is only 5% conscious and 95% unconscious. Yeah. And 95% unconscious is huge. But in the unconscious, you're holding all of the beliefs that you have about yourself. You're holding any past distressing events that you haven't processed, which, by the way, we hold a lot of stuff as children because we had limited capacity to be able to deal with any of that. Yep. And so over time, we develop these patterns because of the deep beliefs that we have about ourselves. Yeah. So I'll give you an example. I think people would understand this through a story. So when I was healing my own self and all the health issues that I had a lot of weird stuff going on that the GPs were just like, I think it's just because you're a mum and you're busy. It's like, no, I smell a candle and I have like a headache and I want to vomit and I'm like fainting because I get anxious. This isn't normal.
It's a mum stuff.
This isn't just being a mum. So on my journey, first of all, I started looking at nutrition and lifestyle. We'll get to that in a seckie. That got me so far. Then I found functional medicine and started lab testing, and that was like a quantum leap with my healing. And I was pretty good for a couple of years, maybe even 3 or 4 years. But then COVID 2020 hit and all my health issues flared up again. And by this time I was a practitioner. I'd been working with other clients as well, and I got frustrated, but I knew that I had a toolkit. I fixed the issues in the past, so I'll do it again. But this time my body did not respond to anything physical at all. No diets, no supplements, no like sleep hygiene. My body was just like, no, you still haven't figured out or got to the deepest root of why you are stuck in body burnout again. So for me, it came back to a deep belief that I was weak and incapable, which I created as a little kid when I stood up on a stage and tried to memorize a little talk that I had memorized and I couldn't remember it. So I burst out crying, humiliated. And there are a lot of kind of like similar themes around that as a little kid. Yeah. And then over the years, I created or collected more evidence around that. And over the years, I then started developing patterns to try and hide the deepest fear that I had about myself. So even as a teenager, I started getting good grades and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Maybe I just have to work really hard and study really hard and get like straight A's all the time. And yeah, okay, cool. And then I went into university and I did a PhD. But all the things that I did and overdid and overachieved was from a place of fear and really trying to hide from myself the greatest fear that I had about myself, but also definitely hiding it from everyone else. And that was all happening unconsciously. I had no idea until I started looking into this, but it was also made so much sense when I discovered that this was a thing, because it's like, oh, I've tried so hard to stop doing and to be able to relax when I go to the beach or when I'm with my kids and be present. So I really struggled to be able to switch off. Yeah. And that's because I was trying to do it with my conscious mind, which is only 5% of the mind. Underneath that, there were all this other stuff that I had to reprogram and rewire and create new and loving beliefs about myself and clear past distressing events and traumas. By the way, most of mine were like little T traumas. In order for my mind to then have an upgraded system in which I could then live with more presence and with more ease and with more flow, and where it was actually safe to be slow and I didn't have to work so hard all the time.
Yeah. And, that side of it's often called like it's woo-woo. Like when I studied the hypnotherapy last year, I did it because I just knew how to relate to clients differently, because we're kind of seeing the same patterns and relationship breakdown, whatever else. And you're right, a lot of the stuff that we have in our mind is from usually when we're children. Very rarely would it be teenagers, usually it's earlier, but sometimes it's while you're still in the womb as well, the things that you're experiencing in that. And people are like, oh, that's a load of crap, whatever. Well, believe it or don't believe it, but a big believer in that you can have that trauma, and, when you've got that initial trauma and then you keep stacking stuff on. Big believer with the mind. I think, as you said, you can get your lab results and your pills and everything like that, but if you don't work on your mind and, yourself, then, as you said, it's a Band-Aid and you're half doing a job, I suppose. You're half healing yourself. So, definitely.
I feel like there's so much science around this now that it's just like, it's actually not woo-woo.
Yeah. And if you think it's woo-woo, it's probably not for you.
Yeah. Well, it is actually, I would say it totally 100% is for you, because no child leaves their childhood unscathed, but they're not ready for it.
Yeah.
Because you got to be ready for it. You can't, there must be a willingness to be wrong and a willingness to change in order to be able to enter the deeper work.
Yeah. And was it with hypnosis that you did your deeper work? Is that where?
It was different types of modalities, and like we do use different modalities as well with clients. So probably the biggest part for me was transformational coaching, NLP type frameworks. Yeah. I didn't actually do anything. I'd never really done hypnotherapy, and I'm not a hypnotherapist. But it was probably later on. I don't know if you've heard of the modality TRTP, trauma therapy. Yeah, it's not considered hypnosis, but it's sort of in the same realms that it's not talk therapy. You're actually going down into the unconscious and changing things. But I did a lot of the rewiring on my own with the assistance of a coach. But when I discovered my deepest root cause, I was just like wholehearted with changing it. So every morning when I woke up, I had a playlist that I created, because that helps to get into the unconscious mind. So the unconscious mind is the body. So you can create so much change unconsciously when you can drop out of your head, out of like the rational, logical brain, and actually feel it wholeheartedly, where you get goosebumps or you start crying in a beautiful way or in a releasing way. So I did a lot of visualization, a lot of embodied declaration or affirmations, not kind of like the just write on the mirror and say, I'm good enough. It was wholehearted. Deep. It was deep.
Yeah.
And really creating so much safety inside of myself that I was strong and capable. And it was unattached to anything that I had in my life. So for example, I choose to know I am a strong and capable and wonderful and beautiful wife. And you know what? Even if Chris woke up the next day and said he wanted a divorce, I still know I'm a flippin' awesome wife. Yeah. So actually kind of engaging, the worst case scenario. Even if my kids grew up in 10 years and decided to hate me and never wanted to talk to me again, I still know that I am an amazing mother. Even if my business went bust and I never signed up another client to our Ending Body Burnout Method program, which I didn't have back then, I still know that I'm a flippin' awesome practitioner. And if I lost it all, I could wholeheartedly, hand on heart, say, I deeply love and trust myself.
That's amazing. That's next level deep. I can't say I've ever gone that deep.
It's easy to feel good about yourself when things are good.
Yeah.
But the pressure test is when things aren't good. Do you still stand in your power?
Yeah. I mean, you're going to have your moments as well. You're going to have your good days and your bad days. But to be that strong and to think, if my kids don't talk to me or if my relationship breaks down, I'm still absolutely amazing. I'm going to come out the other side of that, which really probably goes into the next part. Oh, hang on. Did we do the body or we're up to the environment?
Oh, yeah. So the mind. We went on a tangent with the mind, hey?
We're still on the mind, yeah. That was going to be a nice segue into the environment. I'm like, nope.
We can switch back to body. That's okay. So the third part in the book is Heal Thy Body, and that's more specific around, okay, so we're starting to support the body systems therapeutically, and you're doing the deeper inner work, which is where the real healing happens and the long-lasting healing happens. Now let's look at your habits. The three core habits to support the physical body would be sleep, nutrition, and movement. A lot of people, by the time they work with us, because we do things very differently in comparison to other naturopaths, functional medicine practitioners, they have often already dialed in a lot of those. They're already eating healthy most of the time. Maybe a lot of people aren't moving because their capacity isn't great, but, they've tried these things. And then sometimes we'll get clients who are just I know what I should be doing, but I can't do it.
That's
Why am I not doing it? And that comes back to the unconscious patterns happening in the mind. So with those three things, we just like to keep it really simple. So again, a lot of the people we work with are those perfectionists, overdoers, got to get everything right. And so when it comes to lifestyle, we actually just like to dial it down. And it's you know what? Do the minimum to be the maximum. 1% better every day. Sometimes I look at people's diet, I'm like, you're already eating great. They're like, oh, but sometimes they eat a chocolate. I'm like, cool, great, so do I. Yeah. Let's not worry about that part. So for nutrition, it's just eat whole foods. Eat what the earth provides. And sometimes that needs to change up for people in the healing journey. So that's where lab testing and identifying, especially gut stuff. Yeah. For example, if someone had a really bad yeast or candida infection, there would be a short period of time where it is kind of let's eat really low carb, cut out all the processed sugars, maybe even fruit and grains, because we need to starve yeast, and yeast loves to eat sugar. Movement, again, especially for people who are in burnout, it's you know what? If you're doing HIIT classes every day, maybe you need to pull it back. Exactly. Or if you're not doing anything at all, then how can you be 1% better every day? And that's where I just emphasizing walking, maybe some gentle swimming, And also breaking up your day with mini movements as well can be really powerful. And there's actually a lot of studies that show that if you did 2 minutes of movement every 30 minutes or 1 hour during the day, that actually has better long-term benefits for your health than if you just went to the gym for 1 hour a day.
Yeah.
And it's achievable to do.
Reminders. Yes, it's a reminder. Be sitting at a desk all day like I usually do. 30-minute reminder, righto, go annoy a team member and then come back and another 30 minutes and go annoy somebody else. But it's all those little things. And when you said lab as well, so I had my labs, like I had blood tests and stuff done a few months ago, and they were appalling. Like absolutely
is this like
appalling.
GP blood test?
So I'm a naturopath. So like my cholesterol was like 6 or 7. And I'm like, but I don't eat bad. Like I don't, cholesterol to me is like, KFC and your takeaway and stuff like that. But it can also be caused by stress. So like when I saw that, I'm like, holy crap, like I'm on my way to like irreversible heart damage. Like this shit's serious. So definitely, people say, get your bloods taken, checked once a year. I'm like, you don't need to do that unless, you're feeling a bit off or something. But I think there would be a great benefit to having bloods done maybe reasonably regularly, because, mine was shocking. And I'm like, oh, my God, like no wonder I feel like shit sometimes. But, and then without having the bloods, you can't really heal and fix the underlying issues of everything else, as you said. So I like lab work as well, and like we use different specimens as well, like poo, wee, breath, because we're looking at other body systems that GPs, medical specialists, don't look at. But what I find too is it's great for compliance. Where it's like, just like how you saw the cholesterol, it's like, okay, like I can't pretend that that's not there because it clearly is. So what am I going to do about it? So it is a bit of a firecracker up people's butt. Yes, it was. And I was like, you're on your way to irreversible heart damage. I'm like, crap, I'm like 40. Well, actually, I'm 42 now, like as of yesterday. But I'm like, oh, my God. Like, but it made me realise, because as I said, I associated with like fried foods and stuff. I'm like, I don't eat that. Like, but, cholesterol is caused by other things as well, like stress. So, and that's where mine would have come from. Yeah.
Can I just speak? Yeah. That what we coin the bad cholesterol too is essentially rises when there's inflammation in the body. And so that could be a poor diet, or it could be stress, or it could be parasites in the gut, or it could be heavy metals stuck in your fat tissue. Yeah. So it's a good marker, but then it's like, okay, inflammation in the body, where is that coming from? Is it coming from my life and my lifestyle, or is it coming from my mind, or is it coming from potential other imbalances in the body that GPs aren't looking at? And then it just gives you more data to get more specific around what's going on for you.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. And so the last, now this is a segue back from the mind, which is what so the environment is super important as well. So, and where we see, to bring the family law aspect into this and relationships, whether you've got kids or whatever, is that environment can play a massive effect, obviously, on yourself and, how a relationship is going to be. Like, whether it's a happy relationship, whether it's a stressful relationship, whether it's a toxic, narcissistic relationship. Can you let us know why the environment is so important to heal the body, and also from a relationship point of view, why it's it's important for a lot of things, but can you tie it into why it's so important in a relationship aspect and for yourself as part of that healing process? Yeah.
So the environment, again, like in the book and in our practice, we're always looking at the physical and the metaphysical. So the environment has a physical and a metaphysical component. From a physical point of view, just like really simply, is do you have toxins, like actual physical toxins in your environment? Like, are you living in a really moldy house, or are you using skincare or cleaning products that are full of like toxic chemicals? That's going to impact your health, and it impacts your brain a lot as well. But the other part of the environment too is, well, who else is in your environment? and how are you interacting with them? Because as you said before, stress can cause cholesterol to rise. Stress is a big factor in a lot of relationships, even healthy ones, and it is just a little bit. So the reason why I did a chapter around that in the book, well, it was part of the reason why I got into now what I do. So after I had both children, so we have 2 kids, my health was just getting worse and worse, not better and better. So that's kind of like, after you have kids, pretty normal to feel depleted and exhausted. But it was almost like the kids are now sleeping. It's like been a year since my second baby has been born. Why am I feeling worse, not better? And it was having a major impact in my relationship with my husband, to the point that we pretty much almost split up. There was definitely some stuff where it reached boiling and tipping point. And at that moment, we had a discussion. Actually, I'll get to that part in a seckie. At that moment too, I also thought, I have to do something. I have to get to the bottom of why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling. Because yes, it was partly him, but it was also me feeling anxious and stressed and overwhelmed, and like my body was always screaming at me. I had chronic pain in my body, to the point that sometimes I couldn't get out of bed or like pick up my babies. And so my system was on high alert. It was in massive fight-flight mode, which then caused Chris to never want to come home. So he had a business and he'd get up at 5 a.m. and wouldn't come home until 10 p.m. I didn't realise until we had a chat, or not a chat, a D&M, that he's like, I want to come home, but I feel like when I do, I'm walking on eggshells all the time. And it's just not nice, and you're screaming all the time. And I felt like I was going to psychologically damage my kids as well. Yeah. So that momentum forwards to really get serious with getting to the root of what was going on for me was important, because I saw it not just to help myself, but also to save our marriage and to create healthy human beings, which are our children. Healthy, not just physically, but also mentally, emotionally. Yeah. And so that was a big part of my journey, and I wanted to talk about that in the book. But also, one thing that we find that causes a lot of conflict in relationships when we have a client working with us, and usually it starts off as the woman, and then if the
woman the problem, or
no, the woman is the one that wants to create change in her life, initiate
something. Yeah.
And so she's like, okay, yeah, I need to put up boundaries. I need to ask for more help. I need to ask my partner to share the load. I need to ask him to put out the bin so I'm not doing all the things. Oh, and I also want to start eating differently. And so now I need to get the whole family on board. So that part of the book around happy family is how can you heal yourself and then step up to be the leader to create change in your family. And that might mean healthy lifestyle changes, but it also might be up-leveling and creating healthy changes in your relationship, in both parenting and in marriage as well.
Yeah, and it takes courage taking courage for Chris to say, hey, yep, I love you, but I'm struggling to come home to you. Like, that's massive courage. And for you to acknowledge that, and for you to both willingly want to be better parents and be better in your relationship. A lot of people probably don't have that conversation. That's why they end. And, they don't have that courage, or they try to have those conversations and they're just continually shot down again. And I suppose that's when we need to reevaluate, well, where's this at? Am I doing this on my own? Do we need to separate for a little while? Whatever it is. That can be difficult. So having that conversation, I mean, congratulations, like, you're obviously very happily married still. But it takes a lot of courage and like knowledge that stuff's out there as well. And it's not normal to, feel certain things after pregnancy. Like, yes, you're tired, and if it's your first one, it's overwhelming and all of that. But as you said, it was kind of 12 months, 2 years on, and your kids were pretty good kids, like pretty good babies. There's something else that's happening. So acknowledging that is really difficult and a really massive step to healing, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So there are heaps of other questions, but I'm conscious on time. So I suppose with the book, you're obviously very, very passionate about it. When you were doing it, what was the big vision for this book?
The big vision, like we work on an individual level, but the vision is bigger than that. So when one person heals, especially if you have a family, so I'll use the mother. If one mother heals, then the family heals. And if the family heals, the community heals. And if the community heals, then like the country heals. And it's just like this beautiful ripple effect where the work that we do with our individual clients there's been lots of feedback to around the book that it's like, oh my gosh, that part was just the part that I needed, that was the missing piece, and now I feel so much better. And it's like they haven't even worked with us, but being able to create and put all my knowledge into one part that can help people either like heal from just reading the book and applying, or giving them more awareness around, well, these can be some missing pieces. A big narrative too that we hear in the health space, like the chronic health space, is I've tried all the things and I'm still stuck. Yeah. So maybe I can't, maybe I'm the broken one. Maybe I'm the one that is like never going to heal. And I totally 100% hand on heart believe that if you weren't born with the issue, you can heal from it. I've also heard some stories about people being born with issues and healing from it as well.
But you've got to be willing to work on it. If you're unwilling, it's probably highly likely it's not going to be as effective, if at all.
Yeah, exactly. So the book was also like just a book of hope. That it's, you know what, you probably have a book of hope. You have tried a lot of things, but here's some missing pieces, and that's why we use a very holistic approach. It's not just one thing, it's like multiple things, because we're a dynamic human being and we need both the physical and the metaphysical. You can't separate the two.
Yeah, so maybe this should be the starting point, not the last straw for people.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it'd be great if it was preventative, which essentially functional medicine it's in the natural therapies, but it's using evidence-based lab testing. It was originally created in America, I don't even know what year, probably like the 70s or 80s. And essentially it was preventative medicine. It's like you come to us before you go to the GP and you find out that you've got X, Y, and Z. Because if we can do a car service and look under the hood before you have symptoms, then we can recorrect it really fast.
And you're not suffering for months or years. It's and it might not be as severe either, trying to deal with that early on in a piece. So I definitely think this needs to be a first step, not a last step. Now, how can people get their hands on your book, and how can people work with you?
Awesome. So we do have our book on our website, www.chrisandfili.fm/book, but you can also get it from Amazon. It's in some bookstores. If it's not in your local one, you can get it ordered in. And so that's the book. And the way that we work with people, or the best way that you can work with us, would be inside our Ending Body Burnout Method program, which is a 6-month holistic healing container that looks at the body systems, supporting those body systems physically, but also at the same time, because we can't separate the two, really working on the deeper root causes so it doesn't end up just being a natural Band-Aid. It is actually a healing there's a healing result that is long lasting. And that's, you can check out that on our website too, /method.
We'll have links and stuff below as well, so people can check you out. So what would you like to finish on? Is there a tip or just one last message that you want to mention before we wrap up today?
Yeah, if there's anyone who has been listening who was ticking off all the symptoms that I mentioned, or some of them earlier, and you're like, yes, this is me, but like, rah, too scared, or I don't know where to start. Like I would say start with listening to your body and not pretending or gaslighting yourself. So the body is your compass. These symptoms, and the symptoms can be mental and emotional as well, or maybe pain in a relationship or in your finances or business. These symptoms are not there to annoy you, and they're not fighting against you. They're actually fighting for you.
Yeah. Trying to give you a hint.
Yeah. So when you can slow down and actually listen and just ask the question, what for? You have all the answers inside of you. So we believe that 95% of what you need to heal is already inside of you.
Yeah.
And you have your own intuition to know what you need in order to be able to unravel the mess of body burnout and return back to who you already are.
Yeah, and you got your podcast as well that people can listen to if, they're not quite ready, or, there might be some financial constraints. People can listen to your podcast as well, which may also help them. So thank you so much, Fili. I can definitely see us doing another one because, I still have 4 pages worth of questions up here on my screen. But thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. It was lovely chatting.
Thanks, Fili.